Welcome back. In this video, we'll generate FOURA's financial accounting reports, including the trial balance, the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement, to get an overall view of our company's financial situation. Then we'll drill down from the main reports into some transactional details in order to understand what rolls up into the top-level statements. And normally these management reports would be utilized by accountants, executives, and business owners to review their financial results, which will help them to continue to make timely and informed management decisions going forward. So let's get started. To access the financial reports, users will need the accounting security role, which can be assigned by your local FOURA systems administrator. The financial reporting form can be found in the Accounting and Finance main menu, then in the General Ledger submenu, which displays the financial reporting icon in the functional menu. The form can also be accessed by typing FRP into the menu code area of the FOURA Navigator. As you can see, this form has a header section with a menu, a control section with several selector boxes, and a couple of buttons. These allow us to set up the reports we want to look at by choosing which company we want to run it for, what overall time period, and which interval we want to show, whether it be monthly, quarterly, or annually. So let's go ahead and run each of the financial reports we mentioned earlier. The first report we'll look at is the trial balance, which shows the beginning balance, the activity, and the ending balance for each period we select for the report. Then we'll drill into some details for a particular account, all the way down to the document level. The report field default is already set to trial balance when we open the form, and the company we're reporting on is their fictitious demo named Office Station, or OSTN, so we'll leave these selections as they are. Looking at the period selector, we see there are several predefined periods, as well as a custom period option. We'll select the option last year, which is 2018 for now, and we'll also leave the interval set to month. And now we'll select the Run Reports button to reveal our trial balance report. You'll notice that our report is presented in a nice, easy-to-read spreadsheet format with column and row headers. That being said, it's possible to format cells in FOURA financial reports using the standard right-click Format Cells option. However, once the report is rerun or closed, the report will revert back to the default formatting. And we'll also look at exporting the reports to Excel later, where you can save any formatting you'd like. Because we selected the month interval, for each account code on the left, we have our first period beginning balance, the activity for the period, then the ending balance for each month. Positive or debit amounts are shown in black font, where negative or credit balances are presented in a red font. If we scroll down the page, we see that our account codes listed in order of assets, liabilities, equities, and profit and loss, with the amounts balancing to 0 at the bottom of the report. So let's change our report interval to year so we get the entire year activity and ending balances and select Run Report again. Now we just have 3 columns of data. And let's say I'm the company bookkeeper and I see that I have activity this year in the capital asset account of 1720 manufacturing equipment, but I don't know what was purchased. So I will select the cell in the 2018 activity column for the row of account 1720 and right mouse click and select Drill into Details. This action opens up the Browse Ledger form and presents us with general ledger activity for that account. And I see we purchased belted zero pressure conveyor system on an accounts payable invoice as shown by the journal type AP invoice. If I want more details, I can hover my mouse over the reference number and see that there's an arrow, which denotes that I can drill into the AP invoices form. Now I want to look to see who and when created this AP invoice, and I noticed it was entered by Moira H on November 18th. And now I can select the Line Tabs form and see the invoice line that posted to the general ledger for the conveyor system. I can see there's an attachment on the AP invoice, as indicated by the green checkmark on the attachment paperclip icon on the form header. So let's take a look and see what information's there. And it looks like an invoice from the supplier, so I'll select the View Attachment button. Perfect. Now I'm wondering who received this item into the warehouse, so I'll select the drill-in icon next to the receipt ID. And on the receipts form I can see that Ron T received the item. And the notes tell me this unit was delivered and installed to the satisfaction of Neil, our operations supervisor. Now I'd like to review the purchase order, which I can get to via this form or the AP invoices form. Since I'm already on this form, let's just select the drill-in icon next to the document number and take a look at the purchase order issued by Hannah R. I see there's an attachment on this purchase order as indicated by the green checkmark on the attachment paperclip on the header. So let's take a look and see what that might provide. I see there's a quote from the supplier attached. Now we can look at the Notes tab and see if there's any notes for this purchase order. And I see this purchase was authorized by Liz, our president, and we got a great deal. So let's summarize what we just did with just a few mouse clicks. We started at the trial balance report, drilled into the general ledger details for the activity for one account, found a description of what we purchased, drilled to and viewed the supplier invoice, the quote from the supplier, our purchase order issued to the supplier based on that quote, and the receiving form, telling us that our asset was successfully installed. And all these documents in FOURA are linked together through an efficient series of integrated processes. Now let's look at our next report, the balance sheet. For this report, we'll select a custom period from December 2015 to April 2018. And we'll drill down to some lines on the report to see which accounts make up the balance on the line, and even drill down a little further to see what details make up the balance in a couple of accounts. So here we go. And in the periods drop-down, we select Custom. Then we select our custom periods. Then we'll select the interval of year, and then select the Run Report button. In this report title in the top left, we see the description of the periods we selected. So we know that for 2018, the balances are as of April 30th. The balance sheet report can be customized to suit your company's specific needs. That is, the line descriptions used and which account balances roll up into those lines can be set via the financial statement layout and the financial report codes used in the chart of accounts. Back to our balance sheet. Let's quickly see what accounts make up the balances on some of the lines in the report, starting with cash. To do this, we'll place our cursor on the cash row header, right-click, select Drill Down, then Account. This drill down action adds the balances by account for each period in the report in a new Drill Down tab. And we can see that we have 4 accounts that make up the cash balance on this balance sheet. Let's go back to the balance sheet and do the same for inventory. The results of the drill down sheet now show us we also have 4 inventory accounts that make up the inventory balance on our balance sheet. From the balance sheet, we will repeat the drill down action on the accounts receivable line, which shows us we have 3 accounts that make up the accounts receivable total in the balance sheet. So let's take this one step further while we're on the drill down sheet. By placing our cursor on the row header for accounts receivable trade, we can right-click and drill down to customer. The drill down sheet is now showing us the accounts receivable balance by customer for each period presented on our balance sheet report. Well, there's an overview of the balance sheet report, how to select a custom period, and some of the ways we can drill in to get more information on the balances in the report. Now let's close the drill down sheet by selecting the Close button, and we're back at the balance sheet. Next, we'll take a look at the income statement. We'll generate an income statement and perform some drill down and some drill in activities going all the way down to the document level. In the report selection box, you'll notice there's an income statement and an income statement detailed report. Both of these reports can be configured to suit your company's particular presentations via financial statement layout and the financial report codes used in the chart of accounts that we saw for the balance sheet. We'll change our custom period settings to January 2018 through April 2018. And change the interval to month and select the Run Report button. Here we're going to drill into the revenues all the way to the source document and then also do the same for the expense account. You'll see it's similar to what we did in the trial balance report. So let's do it. We place the cursor on the row header for revenues, right-click and drill down by account. We have 3 revenue accounts making up the total on the income statement. We're going to drill down on the sales product line next for account 3000. Again, place your cursor on the row header for account 3000, right-click, and this time we'll drill down by sub-account. OSTN is tracking its revenues by 4 separate business lines, for which it's created 4 sub-accounts. Let's see which customers make up the revenues for our distribution business line by placing our cursor on the row header for sub-account 10, right-click, and drill down by customer. So now we can drill into the details for West Coast Business Supply in the month of March by placing our cursor in that cell, right-clicking, and then drilling into details. And as we saw in the trial balance report, this action opens up the Browse Ledger form with the details for the drill-in cell we selected. We can view the customer invoice by selecting the drill-in icon in the reference number field. Once at the invoice, we can further drill into the customer order by selecting the drill-in icon next to the order number. And once at the customer order, we can view the attachment by selecting the paperclip icon and then View Attachment button, which reveals in this case a purchase order from a customer. Now that we're back on the financial reporting form, so let's go back to the income statement report where we can drill down and get more details on an expense line. Place the cursor on the operating expense row header, right-click, then drill down by account. We now see that our drill down sheet has been populated with all the amounts for this financial statement line by account and period. Let's drill down to account 6850 director's fees to see what we're paying. Place the cursor on the row header for account 6850, right-click, and drill down by supplier. It looks like we're paying Bologna $1,500 each month. Let's see what details are available for January by placing the cursor in the cell with the amount for January, right-clicking, then drilling into the details. Again, the browser ledger form opens up with the ledger details for the account, the amount, and the period selected. We see the transaction is an AP invoice as shown by the AP invoice transaction type. Let's view the invoice by clicking on the drill in icon in the reference number field to bring up the AP invoice form. We see that there's no document attached to the invoice as indicated by the absence of a green check mark on the attachment icon. But in the notes field it says that there's an agreement attached to the supplier record which we are interested in looking at. So we'll click on the drill in icon next to the supplier code to bring up the supplier record. Now click on the attachment icon, then click on View Attachment. Here's an agreement signed by the President to support the recurring monthly payment to this director. Now that we're back on the income statement, it's beginning to make sense that FOURA's process-based system, coupled with document attachments, is a powerful tool that provides quick access to financial statements from the top level down to the source documents. Lastly, let's take a brief look at the cash flow statement. Let's leave the period selector at custom, but change the start period to January 2017 and the end period to December 2017. And change the interval to quarter and select the Run Report button. The cash flow statement appears in a new sheet with the amounts presented for 2017 by quarter as we specified in our criteria. FOURA's cash flow statement is presented in the indirect method, which adjusts the net income from the income statement for the changes in the operating assets and liability accounts to calculate the cash flows from the operating activities. Then the cash flow from the investing and financing activities are calculated, and the sum of these three subtotals provide us with the net increase or decrease in cash for the specified periods. This is a handy report that allows you to easily see the sources and uses of cash by operating, investing, and financing activities. And please note there's no drill down or drill in options on this statement. So now that we've run the 4 basic financial reports in FOURA, let's briefly look at exporting a monthly financial package for the first quarter of 2018 to Excel, which includes the 4 standard statements. We'll run one statement at a time for the same period and interval, and then export all 4 reports in a nice looking Excel file. And now in the report dropdown, we'll select trial balance. In the period dropdown, we'll select custom, and then we'll select a start period of January 2018 and an end period of March 2018. And for the interval, we'll select month. Now we'll select the Run Report button. This returns the monthly trial balance for the quarter. Now in the report dropdown, we'll select the balance sheet report. And then we'll select the Run Report button. This returns the monthly balance sheet for the quarter in a new tab. Next in the report dropdown, we'll select the income statement and then select the Run Report button. This returns the monthly income statement for the quarter with a total for the quarter in the new tab. And finally in the report dropdown, we'll select the cash flow statement and then select the Run Report button. This returns the monthly cash flow statement for the quarter. Now that we have our 4 financial statements for the same period, we can export these to Excel. In order to do that, we can select the Excel icon in the upper left corner of the File menu option, or we can select the File menu option, Export to Excel. Once we do this, we are prompted to provide a file name and a location to save our file in the standard Windows dialog box. Now when we open this file, we'll see that the statements look exactly like they do in FOURA. And all of these totals and subtotal formulas are intact, and these statements can be emailed, stored, and printed as needed. Let's briefly recap what we've learned today. We've learned that the options for each report are quite versatile. That is, we can configure the reports to run over various periods and interval ranges in order to provide us with the most useful information. We also demonstrated FOURA's powerful drill down and drill in capabilities, which is attributed to a process-based system design coupled with document attachments which allow us to access transactional information from the top-level financial statements without having to manually search for supporting documents. And we exported a professional-looking, neatly formatted financial statement package to Excel, which could be used to present to owners or top management. Well, that wraps up this tutorial. Please be sure to check out additional tutorials to learn more about FOURA's powerful features, processes, and tips. Thanks for watching.